Plant FAQs, Bougainvillea Barber Karst. Bougainvillea Barber Karst versus La Jolla. I've grown Bougainvillea Barber Karst and La Jolla side by side, and I found Barber Karst's vibrant red blooms to be far more intense and long-lasting than La Jolla's softer shades. In my experience, La Jolla had a more subtle, elegant appearance, but Barber Karst's more vigorous growth and eye-catching color definitely made it stand out in my garden. Bougainvillea Barber Karst versus San Diego Red. Comparing Bougainvillea Barber Karst with San Diego Red, I noticed that San Diego Red offered a more muted red compared to the striking, bold red of Barber Karst. The San Diego Red was charming with its slightly lighter hue, but Barber Karst's vivid color and faster growth really stole the show for me. Here's a guide on planting your Barber Karst Bougainvillea for a vibrant and flourishing vine. Choosing the right time and location. The best time to plant your Barber Karst Bougainvillea is in spring or early summer after the danger of frost has passed. Select a location that receives full sun, ideally at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily. Bougainvillea thrives in warm temperatures. Ensure the planting site has well-draining soil. This is crucial to prevent root rot, which can be fatal for Bougainvillea. Planting. Dig a hole. Make sure the hole is at least twice as wide and slightly deeper than the root ball of your Bougainvillea. Loosen the soil. Loosen the soil around the edges of the hole to encourage root growth beyond the root ball. Positioning. Carefully place your Bougainvillea in the hole, ensuring it sits level with the surrounding soil. Don't bury the stem too deeply. Backfill and water. Fill the hole back with the excavated soil, gently tamping it down to remove air pockets. Water the plant thoroughly to settle the soil around the roots. Support. Barber Karst Bougainvillea is a vigorous vine and will benefit from some form of support to climb and showcase its blooms. You can install a trellis, fence, or other climbing structure near the planting site. Additional tips. You can amend the planting area with some compost or organic matter to improve drainage and provide initial nutrients. Fertilize your Barber Karst Bougainvillea monthly during the growing season with a balanced fertilizer diluted to half strength. Avoid over-fertilizing, as this can promote foliage growth at the expense of flowers. Although Barber Karst is drought-tolerant once established, watering regularly during the first growing season and hot weather is crucial. Aim to keep the soil consistently moist but not soggy. In colder climates, you can protect the roots of your Bougainvillea with a layer of mulch in late fall before the first frost. Is Barber Karst Bougainvillea a perennial? Yes, the Barber Karst Bougainvillea is indeed a perennial, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. It comes back year after year with its stunning, vibrant red blooms. It's a joy to see it flourish through the seasons, especially when many other plants have finished their blooming period. Knowing it's a perennial gives me a sense of satisfaction because it feels like a long-term investment in my garden's beauty. Do Barber Karst Bougainvillea have thorns? One thing I quickly learned is that Barber Karst Bougainvillea does have thorns. They can be quite sharp, so I always wear gloves when handling or pruning the plant. Despite the thorns, it's absolutely worth it for the incredible display of color it provides. The thorns actually serve a purpose, as they help the plant climb and provide some protection from animals that might otherwise damage it. Does a Barber Karst Bougainvillea lose its leaves? There are times when my Barber Karst Bougainvillea loses its leaves, particularly if it gets too cold. It's a semi-deciduous plant, which means it can shed its leaves in response to stress, like a drop in temperature or insufficient water. However, once the conditions improve, it usually bounces back with new growth. I've noticed this happening more often in the winter, but come spring, it revives and starts to bloom beautifully again. How big does Bougainvillea Barber Karst get? The Barber Karst Bougainvillea can get quite large, which I love because it makes such a statement in my garden. Mine has grown to about 15 feet tall and wide, though I've read that in optimal conditions, they can get even bigger. This vigorous growth means it can cover a fence or trellis wonderfully, creating a lush, colorful barrier. I find that with a little guidance and support, it really takes off and fills the space beautifully. How to prune Barber Karst Bougainvillea. Pruning my Barber Karst Bougainvillea is something I do regularly to keep it healthy and looking its best. I usually prune it after each blooming cycle, which encourages new growth and more blooms. Using sharp, clean pruning shears, I trim back the tips of the branches and also remove any dead or crossing branches. I've learned to be a bit conservative with my cuts, as bougainvilleas bloom on new growth, and cutting too much can reduce the number of flowers. Regular pruning helps maintain its shape and prevents it from becoming too unruly.